It's Dr. Jeffrey Scott here, and this is my Market MRI Pro update for Tuesday, January 6, 2026. Well, no flat tires tonight, so I get to do this on time. But speaking about on time, I think Santa actually got here. He just got here late, and he brought us new highs. Again, Jeffrey Scott, Market MRI Pro at gmail.com, Google Group Top Down Trader, websites marketmripro.com. This and all material that I present should be taken in the spirit of education and not investment advice. I do these videos to show people how I quickly use my tools to identify what may be great trades and then do it very quickly. Trading involves risk. You are solely responsible for any investment decisions you make. I may own or buy or intend to buy or sell anything I discuss, and you should always be consulting with your financial advisors as you enter into the financial markets. My Google group is really my mailing list. It's where I let people know when I put something out there. I'll have special events I invite you to and other things. It's called Top Down Trader. Just go to Google Groups, click all groups, find Top Down Trader, and let me know how you want to be contacted. News and earnings. Well, Wednesday we got the ADP employment, and we'll see if it comes in light. I think right now people don't expect the inflation numbers to get a whole lot better, and they're closely watching employment. And as long as we have decent employment, then I think that goes against a lot of rate cuts, and we'll see if employment drops. So this is the non-government report. We'll get some ISM services, some job openings, and we'll hear from Michelle Bauman. The big data is going to be Friday's monthly employment report. Earnings on Wednesday, we start to see some. Jeffries might be interesting, but it's really next week when the world starts to see a lot of first quarter earnings. It is a judgment call to hold stocks over earnings dates. It's bad judgment to not know when your stock's earnings date is scheduled. If you have any questions about my product, just reach out to me at marketmripro at gmail.com. And our next big training event will be January 31st, when I'll do a 3-hour session, deep dive into the product, into the indicators I use, and about my favorite options. And then if you have any issues with the move to the Windows Store and having trouble getting the program up and running again, Praveen at coding@marketmripro.com can make it happen pretty quickly. And hope to see you at one of the live meetings this coming year. All right, so what a strong day. Russell up again, 1.33, Diamonds 0.98, Qs 0.88, Spiders 0.59. Most importantly, when you look over here, you'll notice they all finished at the top of their daily range. The dollar was up 0.33%, also at the top of its range. Volatility down 1.36, and Bitcoin, interestingly, was down 1.89. Up from the lows of the day, though, of minus 3.25. We're getting nice numbers above 100 on the new highs minus new lows at 52 weeks on the NYSE, and we're just about there on the NASDAQ, so that's improved. More evidence of improving breadth. 77% of the S&P 15 is higher, 57% of the NASDAQ, 66% of the NYSE. You know, there's a lot of rotation going on, and it's not the same things that are working every day. You know, I introduced you over the weekend, not introduced you, but I looked at 2 themes that I thought were going to work. One was transportation and space, and the other one is data centers. And clearly, I was very right about aerospace and defense. The data centers, I won't say I was wrong, but boy, it's more not isolated, but not every stock is going up in that marketplace. Where in aerospace, it was almost another perfect day like yesterday. So let's look at the S&P sectors. On the left-hand side up at the top, these are the S&P 500 sectors. Leading today were Materials, healthcare, tech, and industrials. Industrials and materials have been leading for a bit now, and we like that because that fits both of the things I talked about, defense and the data centers, and we'll look at some of that. The laggard was energy and maybe some of the enthusiasm about all the revenue coming to all these companies from the Venezuela oil came out today. You could see other weakness was in communication services, down a bit. It had been doing very well. Themes, biotech was back, gold, silver, metals, lithium batteries, semiconductors, transports, retail, autonomous vehicles, Internet of Things. All these things were up 2% or about 2% or higher. So a super strong day. If we go to the timing brief, it was strong enough that we now flip the daily Qs, and you'll see it easier other ways, but we had new highs today, closing highs on the spider and again on the diamonds. And as you'll see in a few minutes, also on the NYSE. We'll look more at the Qs and the Russell as well. Key is that our daily signals are buy, our weekly signals are all buy, our monthly signals are all buy, and that tells me that don't be short this market. And I added more cash again. I get a little nervous that I'm putting too much in, so I'm going to probably take it easy, but I like to buy as it's going up. And when it stops going up or slows down its ascent, I start to take some profits. If we look at the index ETFs, let's open this up. And if you set a vertical on the spider close, you can see all-time high on the close, and we're actually a little bit too low on that, and all-time trading high on the day. So it's hard to be bearish at all with decent seasonality at this time. Now, why did I say Santa arrived late? Because I learned that Santa was the first 2 days of the new year, which would have been Monday and Tuesday, and the last 5 days of the prior year. So we fell from day 5 was the indecision day, and then we started dropping. But we're now higher than we were. So not much of a rally, but we're back to where we were, at least on the spiders, and higher because we have new all-time highs. If I look at the Qs, different story. I mean, the Qs to set all-time highs, they have to get back to this area. And right now, as we looked at the last couple of days, you could probably draw some lines. So Qs look like they're, to me, are in a trading range, and we'll see if they pop out, and we'll see an assault on new highs. It was a bullish day, no matter how you look at it, 0.88. Diamonds had another great day, setting all-time highs. Wow, hard to get bearish all-time highs. The next one is the Russell. Russell getting close to breaking out to all-time highs. The VIX, negative today a little bit, 1%. Hasn't gone down to the neutral or on board of the markets level, but at least it failed at 17. And then the dollar was up a little bit today, but really down here consolidating at its recent lows after a big sell-off from up here. Nothing nefarious. I look at commodities, almost think these guys are surprising, and surprising in that how they've kept on going. So if you look at gold and you follow me at all, I gave pretty resounding buy gold on this breakout here. Then We had another one. Somewhere up here. It was up here. Yeah, this breakout was another opportunity to buy. I thought we'd pull back closer to this. We bounced off the 17-day and are approaching all-time highs. Again, how can you be depressed about approaching all-time highs on gold? Silver, my God, we're already back to all-time highs. Am I surprised? No, it's been a frickin' freight train. I'm surprised how fast we got there in a huge day today on silver. If we look at oil, not so much. Oil, we know, came down with energy so weak. Pretty big drop on oil today. And if I look at nat gas, here's a reversal candle, but it's got a long ways to go to even get back to something that would be considered. 10-year looks like an inside day, up a little bit, 0.38%, and the 30-year a doji and up 0.25. So really not too much on rates. So I see nothing that says be careful of the markets, except we know the markets don't go up forever. If I look at the buckets, clearly we've shifted to the right. We've got 19% of the stocks in the S&P 1500, 13% NYSE are above their Bollinger Bands. And I did see that today on Sagar's Edge tool, it got up to about 26% during the day. If we look at market breadth, new highs on the NYSE, and similar to the Qs, the NASDAQ is working its way up. Volume looks like it was, that's yesterday's volume yet. For whatever reason, some of my breadth stuff and volume are not updated yet. However, one thing that is interesting is we had a bango, and a bango is just a really exuberant buying activity today. That's bullish. Stocks above the various moving averages moving up, but not to an extreme. And you could see new high, new low, AD lines, and up, down volume were were positive on both. Certainly a fertile ground to expect further highs until we get overbought. Now I use the market breadth tool to look at overbought, and it looks like I don't have an update yet tonight on the stocks above, the 13-week stocks above the new high, new low. One of the places where I've looked at it before, and I used to track it, would have been in TC2000. So let's just see what it was in TC2000 today. As I mentioned before, it's a standard indicator in TC2000, but they don't tell you what the indicator, what group of stocks they're looking at. I don't have a problem with that. I run it on the various large indexes, but because we're potentially running it on different entities, so you could see we got up high. We got up to 91. So we're getting to an area where you see it turn down. And typically the market peaks with it. So we are getting ripe, and maybe we're getting to that point where we should think about taking some profits off the table. All right. If I look at my sector timing model, it's interesting. Yesterday I commented on all this row here, which, just to review, is industrials, financials, energy, and materials. Yesterday they all look good. Obviously, financials have weakened quite a bit. Some of the defensive things like real estate, utilities, and staples are doing poor, yet healthcare has really turned it up the last couple of days. What's really different is that on the top shelf, where we can see we've turned positive on technology, positive on discretionary. We continue to be strong on communications. When I look at our favorite big stocks, talked about some of the weakness over the weekend, especially in my Sunday video, calling out the data centers and transportation and looking at the weakness in the FANG complex. Amazon finally broke out today. I have a position there that I've been holding. Um, I've got a 205, 270 vertical. So I think the 270 is probably not going to be a problem. The issue is whether how long I hold it or I take my profits. When I start to think like that, I start to end up taking half off so I don't give up the rest of the run, but I put money in the bank. Apple, whew, said it was weak again. I'd be careful with Apple here. Right now, it's the water coming down the faucet into the drain. Google, I love it. It's just doing nothing, and it actually is carrying a sell signal, so it's hard for me to add to it. Meta, struggling lower. It's actually losing the buy signal it had when it popped above here. I think Meta is no Meta for me right now. Netflix, gosh, does it go into the 70s where the run began? I don't know how you can either want to be holding Netflix long or buying Netflix here. And as I've said every night, I don't care that it's got great seasonality. The technicals suck. Tesla set an all-time high, and then on Friday last week, it rallied on deliveries, and by the day was over, it was down, and it still looks like it's going lower. And NVIDIA really didn't do much despite their presentation at the Consumer Electronics Show. And Microsoft had a nice reversal candle today. We'll see if it can take out the 30 period or the 21-day EMA and give us a hint that maybe we should be thinking about buying something that looks this bad. Like the day, but I'm not in it. Labu had a big reversal day. This is why I take half off or a partial position. I booked profits yesterday because I'd had enough down days. And then here comes today. We are now 4 or 5 days out from JP Morgan. There's often a flurry of transactions that occur going into that meeting. That's why I left a piece in there. So LABU, tough to enter it here. I'm holding a small portion. PPH Pharma continues to be stronger. They present at JP Morgan as well. Look at data centers. I mean, we talked about it on the weekend when we had this candle. It's continued to go higher. And the other one I talked about with you is ITA, which looks fantastic. I mean, how classic a cup and a handle breakout, except for the handle being too high in the cup, is this? It's freaking beautiful. I mean, it's sort of a handle breakout, handle and a breakout, and maybe that's more what we're seeing here. But ITA looks fantastic again. Now, if I look at some of the stocks in ITA and data center, this here is ITA. Yesterday, I remarked that every stock in this list was up. Today, they're up again. And we're going to come back to this guy in a few minutes. If we look at data centers, we talked several times about OCLO, so OKLO, which I gave an entry this week. We talked about LEU, which had some good news today and popped. Oh, not JRU, LEU. And you could see a nice move there. They all got the same pattern because these data center stocks were clobbered. And one that I liked, don't have enough of, is Micron. This was the buying opportunity back here. And wow, has this thing gone? And we talked about this, I think, on the weekend webinar. So let's just take a look at some things in the market. JS layout, this includes, let's go to the impulse view. We're up to 3784 stocks. That will fluctuate. It requires a $1 price, 100,000 shares. It looks at the NYSE, the Amex, and the NASDAQ. and we'll include all the tickers that meet those criteria. Obviously, not every ticker is going to meet our criteria. Unlike the S&P 500 sectors that are built from 500 stocks, when I go into the top-down view, these are built from all the stocks in my data set that are $1 and 100,000 shares. Let's look at what the big moves were today. And it was basic materials, tech, healthcare. Let's look at those top four again in industrials. And then let's look at the best performers on the day. And let's take the top 10, 2, 3. Gives me 258 stocks. And let me come in here and let me start by doing a $5 and 200,000 share limit. That gives me 162. Let's rank them on the positive impulse signals. Let's just go look through. AEVA, thought this was auto parts or something. Let's see. 4D LiDAR. So it's an auto part, but for autonomous vehicles. So that might be interesting. It's a lower $17 stock. It's sold off hard. Doesn't make money, minus 44 coming in versus minus 45. Not really any revenue. Earnings are in March. Only reason to like it is it took out its moving averages on massive volume. It wasn't earnings today, was it? Let me go back and look at it. Nope. And then I'll go over here and look at the news. Well, there you go. NVIDIA, who's getting big into autonomous vehicles, have picked a new supplier. And this is it. Well, let me tell you things to expect. I bet it goes higher because it's associated with NVIDIA. Often NVIDIA makes investments in these. And then the cross your fingers moment is you hope they don't do a secondary. But they're way off their high, so I don't think you'll see a secondary. But that looks interesting. AEVA. THM. What is THM? International Tower Hill Mines. Palladium, platinum, rhodium. I think we saw this one the other days coming out of a base. SBSW. Stillwater. I used to think of this as a silver miner, and we know what silver is doing. NEWP. Another miner, I believe. New Pacific Metals, absolutely. Newmont, these things have turned into growth stocks. And if these prices of gold and silver stay this high, who's to say they come down? I hope you got at least one in your portfolio. I do. Magnera, don't know who they are. What do they do? Components for absorbent hygiene products, protective apparel, wipes, specialty building, and construction, serving food and beverage. All right. HL, Hecla Mining, another one I used to think of as a silver company. Precious metals, silver, gold, lead, and zinc. And you can see the breakout from this previous high. Looks beautiful. FSM, Fortuna, another miner. Now, Sienna is one that's benefiting from the data centers. Old company, been around a long time. Network hardware, software, and services, routers, etc. And they definitely have something going on with the data centers. Then more gold and silver plays. Seagate's one of the other memory chips. And it's almost if they identify something to go after on a given day. If you're looking at buying a computer in the near future, be prepared to pay more money because you're competing with NVIDIA, other customers, and the memory folks, other customers in the data centers. And newsflash, they'll probably pay a lot more than we will. I read a news release that NVIDIA was looking to back to the 3060s, which is 5-year-old technology, for some of the gaming computers because they can't supply enough that are based upon the Blackwell architecture. Scary. Now, one thing you could do here is you could actually come in, since we want to look for good setups in the right industries, are there any A pluses? And there are. So we can very quickly run through what we see here. So FSM, double dots coming out of a squeeze, relative strength OBV and not extended. AG, another First Majestic Silver. Getting extended is my only concern. TMQ, another minor. Owns properties. Does it make money? Don't know. Okay. SVM, Silvercorp. This is one of the leaders. Pull back in a breakout. Again, the problem is it's starting to get extended. OSIS, not nearly as extended. OSI Systems. See what it does. Electronic systems components, security, healthcare, and optoelectronics and manufacturing. And I bet there's a place for them in data centers. I'd want to know more. What about the fundamentals? 252 coming in against 242, not a whole lot of growth, no dividend, 10-15% grower, revenues growing. Interesting chart. I think I could probably do one of the magic lines and say we just broke out. It's not bad. Mux, another minor, shocker. EXK, a silver miner breaking out here, not extended. Going to make 6 cents versus 2 cents, so that's pretty big growth. Still small potatoes if you look at revenue. AIoT, don't know PowerNet, cheap stock. PPTA, guess what? Another miner. No. Wireless Internet of Things. My bad. I saw basic materials. Capture Internet of Things data from various types of assets with devices and sensors. Interesting. Interesting. Industrial equipment dealers. Chart's okay. Go look at the technicals. Definitely not extended. A lot of the new companies, we don't have technicals yet. And then CRML. All right, is that a mineral company? Oops, let's kill that. All right, so that's wrong. Check that again. All right, so something is wrong there. It's stuck on Powerfleet. Let's see if we can switch. I'm betting Critical Metals is a rare earth metal company. All right. Don't know why it's stuck on that. And a beautiful breakout, looks just like OKLO did and some of the others. I kind of like that one a lot. Don't have fundamentals on it. So without even going any further, how good is this? Top 4 sectors, top 10 industries from the top 4 sectors. And these are the buy signals for A plus. You could also look for A's, probably see even more, see if any duplicates. And then sometimes if I really want to get big, great ones, I'll look for both. And you got the FSM, the SVM look good, and the OSIC. Hope you have a great day in the markets. Who knows how long this is going to go for, but enjoy the ride. See, 30 minutes, top down of trading. We looked at indexes, sectors, industry groups, timing models, top down review of stocks, found the best sectors, the best industry groups, and served it up on a platter. Have a great day.